Heather Beall is a recognized leader on the cardiac telemetry unit, as well as throughout Mission Hospital. Heather's efforts were critical to improving processes and services that helped Mission Hospital receive Magnet designation for nursing excellence. Not one to rest on her laurels, she is challenging our nurses to continue the hospital's pursuit of excellence every day. For these reasons and many more, Heather is the recipient of our Values in Action Award for Excellence.
Heather just exudes an attitude of honesty, openness, and really willingness to do what's ever needed by the hospital and for her patients. And a couple of examples of that I can think of are in her role as the chair of the Housewide Nursing Leadership Council. Heather assumed this role a couple of years ago and just recently completed her tenure. And what that required was her to learn the skill of facilitating meetings and to lead groups of managers and staffs and really focus on ways to get the staff engaged in our strategic goals for the organization around leadership. And she just did an outstanding job, always with a wonderful attitude and a can-do attitude.
I'm not really excellent. What I try to do is continue learning all the time because I feel like no matter how much you know, you don't know enough, which is why I constantly read nursing journals. I get involved in various projects within the hospital so I understand more about the total picture of healthcare. I continue to take classes as often as I can because I am a lifelong learner. That's always been a very high priority to me. I like to have a lot of information.
She is such a resource for all her nurses on her unit. They all come to her for complicated patients or complicated procedures, and she also is unique in that she knows how things are done within the facility. She knows the processes and the people to make change occur, and that is a unique for a staff nurse.
When we have questions, she doesn't just say, well, just give them pain medicine. She goes down to 3 West, or she'll call the pharmacy, or she'll talk with doctors, or do research for us and teach us so that we're better able to help the patients. So she just, you know, if we have a question on a policy, she doesn't just say, well, that's what it is. She that person to find out more and to add more details. She never says no. She just keeps going.
Heather continues her pursuit of excellence both on a personal and ministry-wide level. She shares best practices, creates an environment of continuous learning, and establishes clear goals for individual and team actions and success.
Heather is a behind-the-scenes person, but she's a nurse's nurse. So in that way, she's right there willing to teach one-on-one, and she's willing to teach in classes. So she's done skin school for us. She teaches on heart failure. If there's other units that want more education, she's been the first one to put together a PowerPoint presentation and go over there and share knowledge. But what's neat about Heather is that because she's a bedside nurse, she knows exactly what they need to know. So she's able to focus it on the need to know, not the nice to know information. And so the nurses as adult learners love to know that they're being appreciated and understood, and that's how she's able to approach any project or any education, and then they come away feeling more confident in their ability to care for patients, and that leads to excellent outcomes.
Heather's leadership and passion for empowering others has always been very strong. She is a driving force in developing listening skills for both patients and coworkers.
Doing things for people isn't always necessarily helping them. You empower people by giving them opportunities to do for themselves. So whether it's patient care or nursing care, you have to promote that in people. Don't do everything for them. Let them do as much as they can for themselves.
Heather has been described as the link between clinical care delivery and the patient care experience. Even if what she is doing is technical, the patient is always paramount.
I think she's the best example that I know as a nurse, and in this entire hospital of what it really means to keep the patient and family the absolute top priority. There's not any task that's not important to her. She's never too busy to change sheets or clean up a patient or hold a family member's hand. She is the person. Even though we all know how busy she is with wound care and many other responsibilities in the hospital, the patient and family stay the top priority, and the nurse. She's always there for us.
I feel strongly that it's important to see that nursing is more than a series of tasks. I think that sometimes people don't step back and just ask the most important question. It's like, what are we doing for this patient today? What is the goal for this patient? And do we need to reevaluate the goal for the patient? Why are they here? You kind of need to get away from the task part of patient care and sometimes step back and think about the patient in a more personal way. You know, sometimes, and ask them what their goal is for the day rather than to be focused on what your goal is to do to that person for that day. Compassion for patients, it's not just a nursing background, it's just being a human being. So when I see a patient, any patient, I always try to put myself in the bed. How would I feel? I feel like people are in a very vulnerable position when they're in the hospital. They come in the hospital and you kind of take everything away from them. You put them in a bed, you put them in a gown. They don't have their underwear on. It's an unfamiliar setting for them. So that's what I do. I put myself in that position and I want to make them feel at ease.
Heather is a true reflection of the values and culture of Mission Hospital. One of the things she does on a daily basis is help support the staff, and she does this in a way that makes it a sacred encounter.
When you have good outcomes, it's very, very rewarding. It means so much to people. That doesn't mean that the outcomes are always good, and that's the other part that I think is very important, is being very honest with patients. It's such an intimate, different kind of nursing. It's something that you be very sensitive to the person, how they feel about themselves, how you react to them. You can't tell them everything's going to be okay, because sometimes everything isn't going to be okay. So another part of nursing that's important is being honest with people and preparing them for their healthcare reality. This may not get completely better, but we're going to do the best that we can for you, and truly to do the best you can for them.